Right, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So the Swiss Alps 100 is now just under 3 weeks away. So this is my next race, a mountain race around the Valais region of Switzerland. It's got about 6,000 meters of climbing in total, roughly 21,000 feet. So today I thought I would take you along, and actually for the rest of this week, for my peak week of training. So this will be the last big week that I do before I drop down to a couple of taper weeks. It's not going to be a completely typical week because I've now finished for the summer holidays. So my job is as a full-time teacher. So I'm going to be able to train really most times of the day. So that will be something that's slightly different. But in terms of the general structure of the week, the runs, the workouts, the strength and conditioning work that I'm doing, that's going to be largely the same. The locations I'm running in are going to be slightly different. Today I'm up at Ditchling, so I'm just doing a hill rep session at the moment, but tomorrow I'm off to Scotland, so the rest of my training will be up in Scotland, hopefully getting in a mountain day as well. But Monday we're starting off today at Ditchling, which is one of my favourite spots on the South Downs to get in a bit of climbing, and I'm probably going to do around 1,000 metres or just over 3,000 feet of climbing today. I brought the poles along as well. They're at the moment just propping up the camera and trying to help it not fall over in this wind. But I'm basically taking these, using them on every rep as I go up, folding them away at the top and then taking them out again when I get to the bottom of the climb. Just to get some practice in with the poles, I try and take these out, at least once a week. So that's really the focus of today. So not anything about speed or, heart rate or anything like that, but just making sure I'm getting some practice on the poles and getting some elevation in the legs. So I'm going to crack on, and this will be my first run of the week. So I'm about halfway through my reps for today, so at about 500 meters or 1,700 feet of elevation gain. And when I'm actually doing a run like this, where I'm just trying to get an elevation, I simply have the elevation gain and loss on there, and then the time and nothing else. So no speed, no mileage on there, because all this is about elevation. This is going to be the most important thing, really, ascending and descending for my mountain race. Doesn't matter so much about splits or distance, really, so that's very much what I'm focusing on instead. And I've got a path here that I'm going up and down, so I'm currently going down. This rep will be coming back up in a moment, but this is much better, not overgrown like the other path that I usually use, which would have taken me ages to get my elevation in for today. And I suppose if I had unlimited time, then maybe I would slog it a bit more through that undergrowth. But I need to get back home to pack for going away to Scotland tomorrow, so I'm going to get the rest of my elevation in, about 500 meters left, and then I will head back home. So almost done for today's run. Good run overall. Legs felt a little bit stiff, but I did run Saturday and Sunday over the weekend and did a fair bit of elevation. So 3 days running in a row now, but tomorrow will be a rest day. I typically run 5 days per week, and then I have a couple of days of strength and conditioning in there, and usually at least one full day of not having anything whatsoever, but that does depend on the week. So no running for me tomorrow, but I will be doing some strength and conditioning, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the training week up in Scotland. So I'll see you later on this week. So we've made it up to Glasgow, and the weather up here is amazing. I can't believe it. It feels proper summer weather. Back down south in Brighton we had storms last night, so this is very uncharacteristic Scotland weather. I'm about to do my second workout of the week. So yesterday was a run. No running for me today. Instead I'm going to be going to not the Greggs behind me, but the Pure Gym just round the corner, and I'm going to be focusing on doing some upper body to begin with, so some arms, some shoulders, a bit of back in there as well, and then I'm also going to work on some ankle strength work. So in the UTS 100k, which was my last race a couple of months ago, I managed to roll my ankle a good few times, and following that I felt a bit of weakness in it, so I'm going to be trying to address that and do a bit of strength and conditioning work on it today. So when I'm doing an arms and shoulders workout, I usually start off with 5 minutes on the cross trainer just to get warmed up. And then I'll jump on the ski erg. This is good for building those muscles that I'll be using for my running poles whilst going uphill in particular. And I'll do 5 minutes continuous and then 5 minutes of intervals after that, usually of short, sharp 1 minute bursts with a bit of recovery after. Next, it's onto the kettlebell. So here I'm just swinging it round, doing 30 seconds each way for usually about 3 minutes. And then following that, I start to do some body weight exercises, getting the core and the arms going. And again, these will vary week on week, but I like to try and mix it up, have some bits of the workout where I'm focusing on actual weights and other times where I'm just using my body. And then finally, for this arm, shoulders and back workout, I move on to the machine. So here I'm doing some pull down. Following that, I did some shoulder press, and that totals 35 minutes for my arms, shoulders and back workout. And then here I am moving on to the second focus for my strength and conditioning session, which is my ankle strength. But there are of course other muscles that I'm working here as well, like the glutes in this one in particular. And then this too, so it looks quite similar to the kettlebell exercise I was doing earlier, but I'm doing it on one foot to try and develop ankle balance. And then I'm also doing here some glute work, so glute bridges, both leg, and then following that single leg. And then the final thing that I did in this strength and conditioning session was some mobility work, which over the past year I've really increased in my training, and I found it's made all the difference, because before, when I upped mileage and elevation, I found I got pretty stiff in the legs and the glutes and the hips. So this I do probably 4 or 5 times a week. I'll put up all the days that I did it as part of my peak week. I often do it at home just in front of the TV, but this has made such a difference. Just a 10-minute mobility workout a number of times a week. I'm feeling much more flexible and less stiff now when I go out running. Right, so Wednesday run. This is probably going to be my most structured session of the week. Generally, the focus of this week is to get in some elevation, some big climbing, and not focus too much on speed work, but I'm going to have a little bit, a sprinkling of speed in there just to keep the legs ticking over. And this is going to be a 2 by 20 minutes with 4 minutes recoveries at about a 6 or 7 out of 10 on the RPE scale, so rate of perceived exertion, which is what I tend to run on rather than pace or heart rate. But I do have the heart rate running in the background just as a kind of check. So about 6 or 7 out of 10 on my intervals. If I was doing this on the flat, it would probably be somewhere between marathon and half marathon pace, probably slightly nearer to marathon pace. But I tend to do my steady state sessions on the trail, so I've found some grass and a trail here just running along through these woods in Barshaw Park. Unfortunately, there's not any hills around. I would usually run my steady state intervals uphill on a gentle incline, but there's not much of that around where I'm staying here on the outskirts of Glasgow. But going to get this session started, and this will be my steady state run today, so here we go. So before I get into my steady state intervals, and indeed any intervals that I do as part of my training, I do 10 minutes gentle warm up, and then I go into what you're seeing here, which are some running drills. And these are a good way to get the heart rate elevated, but also activate those muscles so you aren't going into your intervals cold. So I'll typically do lots of the drills that you're seeing here. It'll take me often about 5-10 minutes. And once I've done a number of different drills, then I'll go into usually 4 by 10 seconds of strides. So then we're off into interval number 1, and here I am just trying to set the pace, not go off too fast, although I think I did end up going a little bit fast in the first kilometre, as can sometimes happen, but you know, just focusing on breathing. And I did actually manage to find some hills, as I talk about in a moment. Right, just coming towards the end of that first rep, few seconds left, and now it's going to be a 4-minute jog recovery. So in these recoveries, just trying to bring down my heart rate, keep it moving a little bit, but just very gently, mainly focusing on breathing and bringing down the heart rate. And actually I did get a bit of elevation in there in the end. There's this hill up here, there is a gentle incline over towards that side of the park. So yeah, not as flat as I thought it'd be, which is good. Right, rep 2, here we go. So just under 3 minutes left, and I've been keeping to the grass and trails as much as possible around this park. So I'm running on the surface that I'm used to. Right, that's rep 2 done. Now 4-minute jog recovery. Right, we've made it to our Thursday run. I'll make this quick because we are currently getting bitten to bits by midges next to Loch Lomond here. But this this run is, oh yeah, just give you a view of that so you can see what it's like. But this run is the one that I've been looking forward to the most. Firstly, because it's our first mountain run of this training block, and secondly, because I'm going to be doing most of it, if not all of it, with my fiance.
Yeah.
So for those who follow us on social media, you might have seen that we got engaged last week. Up on the South Downs Way, of course, was the engagement spot, one of our favourite trails. Yeah, it involved a lot of elevation to get there, of course. So today we're going to be going up Ben Lomond, which is one of the Munros. The Munros are basically a set of 282 peaks around Scotland. All of them are over 3,000 feet. And Ben Lomond, the one we're doing today, is the most southerly point, the most southerly Munro. It's about an hour north of Glasgow. So we've just driven up from Glasgow this morning. How are you feeling about today's run?
A little bit nervous, but also looking forward to getting away from these midges.
Yeah, God, we're actually getting bitten to bits.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can see them on the camera,
no,
but
they're too small. But
yeah, let's get out there. Right, we're going to go up Ben Lomond. Here we go, and we're off. So a quick kit check for today. I'm mainly going to be using the stuff that I'm wearing here for the race, the Swiss Alps 100 in a couple of weeks' time. Wanted just to make sure it felt comfortable, that it's kit I can rely on. And it's mainly stuff that's tried and tested from my last race, the UTS 100k back in May. But I've got my Harrier vest with me, 10 litres. Also got my waist belt, Decathlon, that I'm going to be using, which can store the Harrier Helvellyn Pro carbon poles in the back. On my feet, I've gone for the Hoka Speedgoat 5s, which is the make and model that I'll be wearing on race day, but not this pair. This pair I've done about 600 miles. They're quite bashed up. I've got another pair, a fresher pair that I've done 85 miles, but I used them in the UTS 100k. They got quite a beating with the rough and harsh terrain of the Welsh mountains, so I didn't want to use them today and instead keep them as fresh as possible for race day. I know they fit, I know they're comfortable, so yeah, I'll be using those instead of the pair I'm wearing today, but exactly the same make and model. But yeah, pretty much the kit I'll be wearing. Runderwear always does the job, no chafing or anything, so I'll be using that for underwear. Shorts I'm wearing pretty standard Decathlon, and then maybe a different top, probably white if it's really hot, maybe a Sahara cap, but otherwise the kit I'm going with today. It is so good to be out in the mountains again. Just the views, the scenery, the colours, otherworldly, pretty magical. And you can see we're just making our way up this path here. I think we're going to end up in the clouds or the mist, whatever that is, covering up there, so we might not get too much of a view at the top, but we still have pretty stunning views of Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park around here. So Carla has ordered some poles for the Swiss Alps race that she will be doing, but they haven't yet come in the post. So she's giving mine a go today. Not ideal because they are a fixed length, so they are made for my height, but she's just, you know, trying them out a little bit here and there just to get a feel for what it's like, and hopefully those poles will come soon. Getting closer to the top. Weather's turned a bit, so got some rain coming in now. Very little visibility as well, but it's luckily not chucking it down. It's just a light shower at this point. 953 meters.
Yeah.
Not bad going. Right, we've just made it up to the top. 1 row down, 281 to go. And it's taken us an hour and 37 minutes. And as you can see, this is our view at the top. I'm just making my way down, so we've got to a point where it started to clear. I'm going to go up and do a second rep of bed Lomond, so I'm heading on. Carla's making her way down slowly, and then I'm going to meet her on the way back up. Just got to make sure I don't get carried away on the downhills. I suddenly looked down and my heart rate was 165, but there are some really fun bits to run up there. It's not too technical, like a very gentle descent. Rocks here and there, so you do have to focus and concentrate, but you can just really pick up speed, and you've got to be picking up your feet really quickly. So yeah, God, it's so fun up there. Really, really good. I'm just coming to the end of my first rep. It's about 2 hours 40 minutes in, and I'm going to quickly pop to the car, grab a couple of sandwiches, and then go back up and down again. Just about to hit the summit for the second time, and there's a bit more visibility now. So when Carla and I came up here earlier, you couldn't really see anything, but now we can see Loch Lomond there in the distance. Almost back at the car where we started. Really good session overall. That funny, quite different reps from yesterday. 2 by 3,000 feet today rather than 2 by 20 minutes with yesterday's steady state intervals. But yeah, nice to get some climbing in, bit of technical descending as well. So yeah, and a bit of smashing the quads, never a bad thing in trading. Get used to those downhills out in the mountains. So Saturday run, we've just come down to Drumchapel parkrun. This is a parkrun we haven't done before, but we looked at it yesterday and it's the 20th slowest in the UK out of the 760 parkruns. And I think after we've just walked around and had a recce of the course, that's probably due to the hills. You've got quite a lot of undulations going through these woods. So looking forward to this one, trying out a new parkrun. And it starts at 9:30 here, which is something we've got used to with coming up to a few Scottish parkruns, but 9:30 seems to be the standard start time here rather than the 9 AM that we get down south. So I'm going to finish up our warm-up and I'm going to get out for Drumchapel parkrun. Good. Tough parkrun, isn't it? God, those hills.
Awesome, running, well done.
So much, thank you.
Thanks a lot for sticking there, that's brilliant. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Right, just doing a light jog back to the car after Drumchapel park run, and Carla got first woman.
Hooray!
What did you think of Drumchapel?
I actually really liked it. Yeah, it is quite tough. It's kind of like at Bevan Dean kind of level of toughness. Bevan Dean Park Run in Brighton. But Bevan Dean, you've got one big hill, more or less, and then it's kind of like downhill. And you do that big hill twice, whereas here it's a bit more undulating, and then there's a few sneaky, quite sharp like uphills. But you do that like 3 times.
But yeah, lovely course through the woods, you know, really, really nice. So yeah, good to get in a new park run on a Saturday. So it's Sunday, last day of peak week of training for the Swiss Alps 100, and we've come in to get some more elevation again. This time at a different spot, not Ben Lomond, but Earl's Seat. So we're going to be bypassing this climb over here just to the left, and then going up a nice lookout point called Earl's Seat, not too far from Glasgow, again about 50 minutes drive. So we'll be heading up that way. Legs are quite stiff from the cumulative fatigue from everything else this week, but the wonderful thing about today is, again, it's nothing about pace or pushing it, but just taking it easy and enjoying it. So this will be a nice end to our time here in Scotland, and a nice final run for peak week of training. We've hit some bogs, in fact a lot of bogs, as we get closer to Earl's Seat, which is just over in the distance. So yeah, our feet are pretty soaking now. We found a high path just here, so hopefully we can avoid the bogs for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's not how you do it, is it really?
Right, here we are, Earl's Seat. We have made it to our trig point for today. So we'll leave you here today up at Earl's Seat. So our plan is just to run back the way that we've come. I'll put up the total for today, what we've ended up doing. And overall really happy with this peak week of training. There's been a good bit of variation in there, different places that we've run, some strength training and a decent bit of elevation as well. So with about 4,000 meters, 14,000 feet, really happy with that. Legs feel very much ready for a couple of taper weeks now. So that's going to be what I'm doing over the next couple of weeks. And then of course in 2 weeks time, it will be the Swiss Alps 100. So have a good week everyone, enjoy your running, and we'll see you all in the next one. And I'm going to take you through what I'm doing day by day, so a kind of training diary for this peak week of training before I drop down. Oh God, there goes the camera. Right, hello everyone. Oh. Come on. This is my peak week. Oh God, the wind is really throwing the tripod around. Oh, and there it goes down a hill.